Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the MAC 6 Entrepreneurial Center right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people. I am super excited to introduce you to 4 new friends that I can't wait to get to know better. And before I introduce them, I always like to give a shout out to the people who have said to me, you've got to meet so-and-so, right? So in this case, it's Kelly Preston, a high school friend, if you can imagine that. That was just, a couple of years ago. But Kelly and I have been Facebook pals for quite some time and following each other's lives. And she is the one who said to me, you must meet Michelle Tincombe. She's the CEO of Sugarprism. She has this amazing product. She's doing amazing work out in the world of cake decorating. And actually, from Kelly's words, and we'll have to find out from Michelle and the team if this is true, but influencing and changing the way in which conferences are done and the way that you all work together. So with that, I'm very happy to meet for the first time Michelle, the CEO of Sugarprism. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having all of us here.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about Sugarprism and why we did ask this group of people to join us today.
Sugarprism is a patented product. It took me 2.5 years of research and development. It is an edible paint product created for the baking decorating industry. If you're familiar with all these, some are very up and coming and some have been established for a while, but all these baking shows, the food on the Food Network, the cookie wars, the cake wars, and cupcake wars and stuff like that. It's something that is highly used, not just in the professional industry like that, but can also be used at home for the hobby bakers. So the products that I patented are an edible paint product that perform just like acrylic paint, that perform just like an edible oil paint. You can airbrush with them and do all the kinds of crazy fun stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So revolutionary.
Revolutionary. Absolutely.
So tell us, we've got 3 people on Zoom with us today, and I want to thank you each again for being here. We have MegN Martinez, who's a sugar artist and cake decorator. We have Jörg Amsler with Truly Jörg. I can't wait to learn about each of your businesses. Jörg is an international pastry consultant, and Aimee Hines, also a sugar artist. And and the name of your company, Aimee, Cake Dr. Aimee, is that right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to get to know each of you. So before we have each of you speak and tell us a little bit about yourselves, why these folks, Michelle, when I said, hey, bring some friends with you, why this team?
This team, I particularly enjoy this team for lots of reasons. They are, one, very kind people in the industry. Jörg is actually a rep for Sugarprism. He has been in the industry for 30 plus years. He is very experienced. He's an international instructor. He's a master decorator. He's been on competition after competition. He's very well versed in using the product, and he's kind of okay to look at once in a while. No, I kid. Yeah, he's very easy on the eyes, but very experienced, very, very knowledgeable. He can use it on anything that I ask him to use it on. He's a Swiss chocolatier, so, cakes, cookies, chocolate, anything. So he's very well versed in using the product. The other 2 ladies are absolutely amazing cake decorators. They use Sugarprism products all the time. Aimee specializes in the most beautiful wedding cakes. So, yeah, just wonderful ladies to have on board. They do very clean, very, very nice work.
So now that Michelle has bragged about you a little bit, I would love to hear from each of you as well. And MegN, if you wouldn't mind starting for us, tell us a little bit about your business, how you got started, and then why, again, you felt compelled to spend time with us today and talk a little bit more specific about Sugarprism.
Well, I haven't been in the business as long as Jörg. I've only been doing cakes for about 8 years. Started doing cakes because of my kids. I did tattoos for a living, and cake's a lot more kid friendly. So then I just started doing cake and decorating, and now I do like 3D cakes. That's my favorite thing to do. Michelle knows that for sure. And I like making anything that I can make look like it's real, but it's cake. That's my bread and butter.
Or sugar and flour.
Yeah, sugar and flour.
Right. Excellent. And 8 years, that's a long time, huh, MegN? I mean, it's not 30 years, but that's a long time.
It's not 30 years, but it's a while. I've been running my own business for about 3 years. I just moved from Southern California here to Washington about a month ago, so I'm kind of starting over in the area, but business is doing pretty good since I've been here.
Good. Did you grow up an artist? When you say tattoos and you say cake decorating, to me it sounds like or feels like you ought to have an artistic background. Is that the case?
I did grow up. My dad was actually an artist, and he taught me all this stuff when I was a kid. He used to teach art classes, and he would use me as like his test subject to see if the lesson was going well. And I mean, I've been doing that since I was little. I remember when I was in 5th grade, I did my first competition, an art competition, and I just was hooked ever since. So I've just done every kind of sketching to painting to sculpting, and then I started doing tattoos, and now I do cake.
Oh my gosh, that's such a fun transfer. I'm getting ready. My daughter and I have finally picked out our matching tattoos. Yes.
Oh, I used to do tattoos also. That's funny.
Really?
Yeah.
I know.
I think that's why we bonded.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you would never, I don't know, and to me, it wouldn't make sense you to make a leap from tattoos, body arts to cakes, but what the heck, right? Hey, I was a 3rd grade teacher and assistant principal, and now I'm running a radio studio, so stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
Aimee, tell us about yourself, please. What's your background, and how did you become the cake doctor?
Well, may not be as exciting. I'm actually a physical and occupational therapist. I started decorating cakes while I was in therapy school to manage stress. And I started taking a Wilton class. I got a little bored, to be honest, because a lot of the stuff I kind of was already learning, and you have to go through the coursework. So I ended up, after I took the first course, just buying the rest of the books and learning it on my own. And then, social media got a little more popular and information was more readily accessible on the internet. So I taught myself a lot of this stuff and started going to cake shows and, started to really dive into it. I've always been an artistic person, and I also enjoy baking and cooking. So it was kind of like this awesome thing that I can evolve and put everything all together. It's painting, it's sculpting, it's creating something delicious for somebody to eat all at the same time. The business name came actually from my oldest brother. He used to joke and call me the cake doctor while I was in therapy school. Because I was working on my doctorate degree, and he joked and said, you're supposed to be the doctor of physical therapy. Now you're the doctor of cake too. So that's where the name came from.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you both for such great introductions. And Michelle had mentioned, Aimee, that kind of your specialty is wedding cakes. Is that correct?
Yes, I like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I do sculpted wedding cakes, and I also do, typical traditional wedding cakes as well as cookies.
Oh, cookies even.
Oh yeah, cookies.
Too bad you're not here in the studio today. and had we ordered cookies, right? Or even a cake for that matter.
I'll bring you cookies next time.
Next time for sure. All right, tell us about yourself, your background as an international pastry consultant and chef, and anything else you feel like sharing.
All right. Well, I'm from Switzerland. I was grown up there, left with 3 choices, be a chocolatier, a cheesemaker, or a watchmaker. And I picked chocolatier. That's what I learned. I did an apprenticeship in pastry first, and then I did my master's in chocolate. I really enjoyed it. I do love to work with my hands. I'm a very hand-brain coordinated person. So pastry was right up my alley. I love the arts. I used to work as a musician, so that was just right up my alley. And so I kind of, took this apprenticeship and took it somewhere else. I left Switzerland pretty young, and I went to Canada, and then ended up actually working on cruise ships. And I did 3 world cruises 3 times around the world, which I think for my educational purpose was really cool because I would get to see all the local markets and what they do and how they prepare food and pastries. And so it was a really great experience. I came and ended up in America eventually and started different businesses and sold them and started new ones. And then eventually I just became a consultant, international instructor. I judge competitions, and I do stuff on the Food Network and all kinds of. I'm very involved in a lot of things that this industry offers. My true passion is a lobsterman. I have a lobster license, so I'm on the water a lot. But I've always stayed true to my passion and my craft. I've always done pastries and chocolate showpieces.
Love it. Tell, if each of you would speak then specifically to Sugarprism and the product, what do you like about this product, and just anything that you can think of to share with our audience? What makes this product so special?
Well, I think that the one thing that definitely sets it apart from everything else is that it is just so diverse. You can use it not just on different materials, but you can use it with a lot of different techniques. And that's just very unheard of. You really only find that in Sugarprism. I don't know of any other color products that can do that. And I think another thing that's very important to know about this is that, if you look color production, it's usually a chemist or a person that knows about how to produce them and put them together. But what sets this apart, I think, is that Michelle is a really, really incredible artist in all these different mediums herself. So I think that she knows not just the chemistry, but she knows also what's going on in the industry. And I think that's very, very important. I don't think you can be a good F&B manager if you never worked as a bartender or as a chef. You just need to understand what your product actually is for. And so I think Michelle is one of these people that really, really tries it out and does all these new innovative things with her products. And I think that really sets her apart from other products.
Anything, Aimee or MegN, to add to that? Thank you.
What?
Yes, I'm so sorry. My dog just
I said it all.
on me.
Right.
I'm sorry. My dog just wanted to be a part of the conversation.
That's okay.
I completely agree with Jörg. I love Sugarprism. I've used other products like gel colors mixed with vodka, and you just don't get diversity out of it at all. I love Sugarprism because I can just use it I airbrush everything and hand paint everything. And I like to start with like light color bases and then build up from it to give it more definition and texture. And you can do that with Sugarprism. And it's great because you can't do that with any other product. So Sugarprism to me I just latched onto it as soon as I saw it at a show. I actually saw her in San Diego years ago. And I was like, what is this? And I ended up buying it and I haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that at that show, they had Duff the Ace of Cakes, who is a huge name in the industry.
I even know who that is.
I could see him on another stage, and they put me on stage over here at the same time Duff was on stage over here. So how many people do you think were watching my demo? MegN and her daughter. And some of the staff. And then I guess Duff even asked them, can you turn that mic down over there? Like,
really? So that must mean that more people than just MegN were watching you if he was feeling a little threatened, maybe. And look at her, right? I mean, we'll talk about eye candy.
Oh, thank you. You're so kind. But, I met him in person, and he actually ended up giving me like a live shout out for my products too. He loves my products, also Duff the Ace of Cakes, right?
Awesome. Jörg, you were going to say?
Well, MegN made a good point, and that's what I was referring to. Like when she said, I like to start with light colors and build up. And I do a lot of airbrushing. I'm really known for my airbrushing, and this is something that you start with light color and you build up into the darker. And with the prior color I've used before Sugarprism, it was always a problem to lay colors on top of each other because they would just blend in and become one big mush. And that's the great thing about Sugarprism, that you not just can put a darker color on a lighter, but what's amazing is that you actually can put a light color on top of a dark. I know it gets a little technical, but for us in the industry, that's a huge, huge thing. So I can actually make shades or white highlights on a dark surface. And that's huge for me. And that's just one of the applications that blew me out of the water when I used it for the first time.
Aimee, anything to add? I know I'm sure that your experience has been just as great. Anything that these guys haven't mentioned that you'd like to include?
They basically have already covered the same thing that I would say.
Yeah.
I've used it for I guess all of us enjoy airbrushing. I've used it for airbrushing, for hand painting, cookies. I actually, as a therapist, I have decorated cookies with some of the children in my clinic. So that's another thing, is that I don't have to use alcohol-based products to be able to mix it. And, a child that might have, food sensitivities or allergies, I don't have as much of a concern of what's in the product. And it tastes delicious. So
I was going to ask that. I'm so glad you said that. How important, when we say edible, it just means that you can eat it, right? But how important is taste? And Aimee just said that it's tasty.
It's tasty. I purposely designed it with a nice vanilla flavor because that was actually one of the first things that prompted me to start out and create this product, was when I was trying to create a design on a cake for a friend. That's how I got started. And I had all these little pieces of colored fondant. If you're familiar with Monet, he's very colorful, very romantic style. And it wasn't working. I just couldn't arrange these little pieces of fondant. And I thought, this is frustrating. And this would be so much easier if I could just paint this on a cake. People do that, right? I was working as a custody officer at the time. People do that, right? Is that a thing? So I started Googling and I started looking around. I'm like, whoa, there's a big industry for this. And honestly, it just started just researching and looking for things. And I realized everybody was using, food colors or these gel products and stuff like that. So I thought, I've used food color lots of times but I've never really tasted it. I've never put it on my tongue. And when I tasted it, it was very unpleasant for me. So I started messing around, just with different things. And that turned into the 2.5 years of research and development.
2.5 years.
4 years of battle with the patent office. They turned me down 3 times, but I refused to give up. I refused to give up because I knew I had a very unique product. So it was just a matter of helping people that are very far left-brained understand what people who are very right-brained are doing. Even though I had explained in depth all the way down to the microscopic size of the hole on an airbrush, because you can airbrush with my product also. They didn't understand it. So when we had an interview with my patent agent, myself, and the patent reviewer, he sort of helped me understand what we needed to do. So I had to go through this big, long series of tests in different stages with my product, and then take everything that I knew and convert it over to numbers to help them understand. And then almost 4 years to the date, it finally went through.
And you have 3.
That's a problem that I had, Michelle, with a lot of other colors, especially reds and stuff. They just have a taste. And sometimes you have to put so much in that you actually change the taste of the fondant or whatever you're tinting.
And the texture.
And the texture as well, absolutely. Yeah. And even the result later on when it dries and all that stuff, it's a chain reaction. And I don't have that with Sugarprism. I have this really nice vanilla flavor. And it's just not that chemistry, that you all know what I'm talking about. If you work with food colors, it's very chemical. And with Sugarprism, you have that nice natural vanilla flavor, and it's just golden. You don't have to worry about these, not tinting off the color, but tinting off the flavor that could go wrong. And so it's a really nice product. And then the other thing that Michelle just mentioned is it's so diverse. I can airbrush with it. I can dilute it with water. I don't even have to use alcohol. I can make it really thick and almost use it as a paste. I can make it medium size and paint something. So that's something I just love, the diversity of it. And it's not just to color thing. It's also to tint sugar or buttercreams or whipped creams or whatever frostings you have. So it's not just a product that you apply on a surface. You can actually tint materials with it and have a great result.
It also cleans very easy.
Yes.
One thing that I'll have a problem with, because I work a professional job. So the days that I work, like say when I used to use gel, like I have all this black or red coloring under my fingernails or what have you. And like I use my hands for work, touch people. Like this doesn't look too pretty.
Black and red hands is probably not the best.
Fingernails permanently colored.
Right. So the thing with this, like it cleans up very easily. I don't have to worry about it staining my countertops or staining my hands. I've never had it clog my airbrush like some other products have. So I like the ability to clean up very easily. And even if I'm actually painting something, I can basically erase it versus other products. It's very difficult to be able to get it back off if I make a mistake, or
Right.
I can layer something on top to correct it. So that's another thing that I like being able to do is I can correct and clean things very easily.
You see why I love this team.
Well, yeah. And I use the word team, right? Because when we are a collective and we're excited about something and each other's work, that's what makes a team. But each of you clearly are, respective experts in the industry and have your own businesses. But let's talk about the expo that's coming up, because this is an opportunity to bring like-minded individuals and those folks who might be just curious about that next lesson, that next opportunity for learning, or want to put their great work into the world. Tell us a little bit about this particular expo and what makes it unique. I'll have Michelle start, and then each of you can just jump in.
The Sugarprism Sugar Art Expo. What makes it unique is most of the expos that I've been to lots and lots of expos as a vendor for my products all over the United States. And most of them are focused either on cakes or cookies. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. What I'm doing, because I, as an artist, I want to encompass everybody. I want to include everybody in my expo, but also the fact that Sugarprism is, like they said, very versatile. You can airbrush with it. I want to bring live airbrush artists on board. I want to bring the cookiers on board because you can use it on cookies. I want to bring the cakers on board. And what we're doing is, are you familiar with the Sugar Art Expos?
I'm not. No.
What it is you pick a theme generally. You pick a theme, and the theme for my show is Plunderous Pirates and Sinister Sirens, which I thought would be a lot of fun. So you get people on board and you get people entering these contests, and they sculpt these cakes in the theme. And there's different levels, all the way from children to the masters that are able to enter into these three-dimensional cookie contests, cake contests, sugar art, which is isomalts. If you're familiar with that, it's kind of a glass-like medium.
My favorite.
Jörg and Aimee are both instructors that are going to be there. There's going to be all kinds of classes. Again, I'm going to have cookie classes for kids, crafting classes for kids. I'm going to have classes that are more geared around professionals, people that want to increase their skills. But, when I say that, you don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be experienced, because all of the instructors are so knowledgeable. They're able to bring in the beginners, and they're able to offer something to the experienced decorators. So there's going to be all kinds of classes going on. Entertainment. Somehow I have to figure out how to sculpt a 12 to 14 foot drip cake. It'll be a dummy drip cake, though, because I want to take my Sugarprism and pour it down this big cake. But there's also, just like the TV shows, there's a live cake decorating contest. So you have teams of people, you give them their theme, and then they have a set number of hours. Jörg and MegN are both judges for the show. So there's a set time frame for these teams to build a cake. And I think I have it set at 3.5 to 4 feet tall.
Oh,
so it has to be 3.5 to 4 feet tall. And it's fun, live entertainment. And then another thing that's a little different about my show is, even though I have professional judges judging the pieces, the stationery, and the live contests, I'm also allowing all of the attendees to cast 2 votes towards anything they like. So yeah, I think it's fun. It makes it a little more interesting for them.
Experiential for everybody.
Right. Experiential for everybody. And, people want to be involved. They want to say, this is my favorite cake, and you cast a vote. And then we'll tally up everything, and then I'll let my professional judges, judge the top 10 in each category.
So,
that's one thing I really like that you do that, Michelle, because, we both go to a lot of expos, and it's always kind of the same protocol. You have judges that judge a competition. But, if I'm into, let's say, flower, I pay, more attention to this. Or if another judge is more into piping, they'll probably reward more nice piping. And I think that you pick the audience, or, your people that visiting the expo as a choice award, that's really cool, that the people actually have a choice and a saying because you get a much broader interest and diversity of minds, what they like and what they prefer and what they like to see. And so I think it's nice that you actually cast a vote from the people that attend and not just from the judges.
Yes. Talking about these, TV shows and these judging competitions, I don't watch a lot of TV, but some of those talent contests, they'll do that, right? I think even whatever the original one was.
Yeah, they might have people calling.
Yeah, right? I mean, and people...
it's like American Idol.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, American Idol, right? But I especially now that we've been on lockdown and COVID has kind of just changed the way that we interact and we do. We just recently, the studio, I know you guys can't see it, but we're in a co-work space outside of the studio door, are these lovely desks in a big training room and conference. And it used to be such a vibrant place where people would come together. And last night, after almost 2 years, was our first opportunity to have a local First Arizona event here. And we were very careful about social distancing and masks and that protocol. But it felt so good to be with people again. People want to engage.
Is that the big
absolutely.
art event?
They host that, but this was more just like for business owners. Is this the first time you've done this expo, or have you done it in the past?
I know I'm crazy trying to establish this is Sugarprism's first expo, and it's the largest expo of this type to hit Arizona.
Oh, so it'll be here locally?
Yeah, at the Glendale Civic Center, the beautiful Glendale Civic Center. Yeah,
and when is it?
March 26th and 27th.
Okay. Oh, I'm so glad we're getting to talk about this so early.
Yeah, I am too.
Thanks for Michelle for staying in front of me. Kelly introduced us, and then I go on little squirrel hunts, and Michelle's like, "Hey, just checking in. Hey, just checking in." So I'm so glad you did because I now, is it open to the public or do you have?
Open to everybody, open to the public. I even have, I'm going to be building a station for the kids, a cookie carousel. So for each child's ticket, they all get a cookie to take over and decorate at the cookie carousel. Everybody, children, everybody, just bring everybody in. Yes.
So fun. What else would either of you guys say about this expo? Obviously, no one's landed there yet, but in anticipation, Aimee or MegN, what else would you say that's kind of the draw for you to want to be part of this, not only as a vendor, but even a judge?
I feel like this expo is really focusing on the actual artist in it, and it's bringing in the audience as opposed to other shows where the audience just kind of shows up and walks around and looks at things, and they don't necessarily know what they're looking at. They just, oh, that's cool, but they don't even understand why are all these cakes laid out, what's going on, and they don't know how they're judged or anything. And it gives them the chance to be a part of it. And it's more interactive as opposed to other shows. Like I said, they just kind of walk around and enjoy things. But this is more interactive. And I feel like it will draw more people into the cake world and see like what we're doing and how we do it. And I just can't wait to be a part of it.
I think the other good thing is that it's not as intimidating for a beginner to be able to engage and start with. There are, courses that are more beginner friendly. You might not have to spend as much money as some of the other shows. I know when I went to my very first show, I'm not going to tell you how much I spent collectively between all the classes and the show itself. But I think it's great that it's easily accessible. The variety that's available, and just being beginner friendly. I think that's a great option.
So there's a group, and maybe you guys have come out to Scottsdale for this. They host the Scottsdale Arts Festival, and it's this big event that runs, I think, for a whole month in tents in Scottsdale. And they're very selective about the artists that come. But just like each of you described, when I interviewed them, I had never attended until after I got the opportunity to interview them and learn about this incredible event. They really wanted people to be accessible. Right, that they wanted the general person who maybe doesn't know a lot about cake decorating or cakes or the art of cookie making or anything like that. Same thing with the sculptor or the painter. They wanted those artists on the floor that anybody could ask questions and make it interactive. I went with my husband and we walked through, and I felt, one, I had a little bit of knowledge because I got to have them here at the studio ahead of time. But everything they said about the artists who attended and just the general community that came through, and they were selling, huge, very expensive works of art with masters who are known worldwide, but they were approachable and they were there to help you feel welcome. And you could ask a question that you didn't feel like you had to have this great art knowledge. And that's what I'm hearing from you guys as well, that's what you've created, this opportunity to, it's just fun and it's joy, and sugar is a happy thing.
It is. It's a happy thing. It's a fun thing. It should be a happy and fun thing. It's art and sugar, right?
And is it unique that you as a business owner and that there's this product that's like it's the Sugarprism Expo? Is that the name of it?
Sugarprism Sugar Art Expo.
Yeah. So is that unique and different to have a product like yours sponsor an expo?
It is. You generally have coordinators who aren't product owners. I believe Satin Ice Fondant may have done one. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's very uncommon for a brand. And that's really one of the major reasons why I'm doing this, is because everybody that I can get my product into their hands, that is a decorator, from the beginner to, the masters, they fall in love with the product, but marketing is the biggest beast. It's the biggest monster. So I figure, I'm going to take that leap of faith and put together this expo. We don't have any here in Arizona. It's a beautiful state. March is a beautiful time of year, and it's a great way for me to get my brand in front of a lot more people on a larger scale. Yeah.
Jörg, what have you seen over the years as it relates to teaching and the growth of sugar arts in the industry, and now this opportunity for people to, just even like our other two guests, to just say, hey, this was kind of a hobby and a way for me to de-stress. Have you noticed that's changed over the years?
Absolutely. That's a very interesting question, because there's a huge change in our industry. What happened is that, you used to buy a cake at a bakery. You would have to go to a bakery or a wedding cake or anything like that, or party favors, anything like that. You would have to go to a commercial bakery. Things have changed over maybe the last decade or so. We have what's called the cottage law. And that means that you're actually legally allowed to produce stuff out of your home. You have to be listed, you have to be certified, and you get inspected by the health inspector. But a lot of people have started building a business under the cottage law. And it's really, really a great invention, because you can do this on your own time. You can do it in your house. You already have all the stuff there you need. And so our market for people interested really has just boomed up and exploded. And it's actually a pretty good second income if you want, or a single income if you want to do this at home. And there's so many different things now. You have cookies, you have sugar, you have cakes, you have pastries. And that's what I like about this expo, because it's built around her brand, around Michelle's brand. And because it's so diverse and you can use it in everything, she has art classes in everything. She has vendors in all departments and all of that stuff. And I think that for people that want to be, teased a little bit or inspired about our great industry, I think this is a perfect place to go and learn new tricks, new trades, new classes. And maybe a great stepping stone to start a new career for somebody that wants to, go down that road, which is a really fun place to be.
I love it. I'm really ecstatic that you knew and trusted that Kelly was right, that you ought to come and tell this story. And I'm thrilled that we're doing this so well ahead of March, right? So for our listeners, we hope that you'll share this on social media, that if you're in Arizona, or even if you're not, that you make time to come and participate, or reach out to somebody and let them know about this opportunity. It sounds just like a fantastic opportunity for really everybody. Again, I have a 14-year-old who doesn't love sugar, right? And just for him to come, and that's what I've been trying to introduce him to different things. Why wouldn't this be any different?
It's a little bit sad because, and I hate to say that, but what we do is actually, it has become a little bit of a lost art. People just don't cook anymore as often as they used to. With our, food, the way it's set up these days, you can just walk into any place and buy everything, and everything is already pre-cooked and pre-portioned. And so, cooking and baking has kind of been not so in and hip anymore. I think that with an expo like that, it's a great stepping stone for somebody to come and check it out and maybe build a career in this and just get teased a little bit and jump right in.
This is also a great opportunity for people who are not only, they have been in the industry for a long time, but beginners to come and meet the vendors because you always get a nice discount on your shopping. So, it's good. There really is something for the whole family at these expos.
Well, and MegN and Aimee both kind of alluded to it just when you were talking about your learning curve, how you went and sat and listened and watched and participated and had to really have that learning curve. That's when you're that committed, right? You mentioned even in the creation of the product line, you got a lot of no's before you hit the yes.
Yes.
Do you have new products then? You're in development too?
I do. I absolutely do. I have so many. I have so many ideas. I feel like I need a team of 100 people to keep up with. I need 100 more hands or 200 more hands to keep up with all of these ideas. But I'm getting ready to release a third product that is under the umbrella of my patents. So because I hold a double patent, and the double patent is written with a variable, it almost makes it a triple patent the way it's written. But the way I'm creating things is all these products fall under my umbrella. So this is the fourth product, but the third one that falls under my patent. And then I have 3 other that I'm slowly developing, very slowly, because now I've taken on this on this expo. So yeah,
you'll get there.
Yeah, I need a big team.
Good. Well, when you have cheerleaders like this,
yes,
right, that keep nudging you along and encouraging you, I have no doubt that you'll find your way to it. How important has it been for each of you, and Michelle kind of alluded to this, I'm going to use the word grit and tenacity, to really stick with what you love, right? I mean, you mentioned it when you're talking about just even trying to birth these products in the world and get the patent and how you've had to struggle a little bit with the marketing piece. With each of your journeys, would you say that grit and tenacity has had to be part of who you are, or you've had to learn how to embrace that part of you? I see, MegN, I see you nodding your head. Oh, I think your microphone might be off. Oh, no. Aimee, can we hear you?
Yeah, she has hers muted there.
Yeah, it did not want to work. It kicked me out for a second. So
I saw that, but I'm glad you popped right back on.
But yeah, I've had to definitely keep pushing forward in my career. I was a single mom for so long. And I actually was in college to be a psychologist. And I ended up just really starting on cakes and pushing forward. And I entered competitions that we have been talking about. And I've epically failed at every single one of them. But I kept trying. And I was working for a local bakery. I didn't have any experience. I just asked if they would hire me. And for whatever reason, they took me on. And I just kept getting slowly better and better, and kind of with not exactly the world against me, but, kind of like, oh, well, you don't really have what it takes to be your own business owner or your own cake decorator. But I just kept going and going, and I'm not ready to give up. And Michelle has definitely pushed me towards that.
So good. How about Aimee or Jörg? Grit, tenacity, what have you found that's been something you've had to really look at yourself in the mirror every now and again and make sure that you're staying true to you? I bet.
Well, my dad, when I was a little guy, my dad told me you should never work in life. You should do the things that you love to do, and that way you don't have to work. It's still work, but you're passionate about it. It doesn't feel like work. And, I always been true to that. I always did in life what I really, really enjoyed. And I still have a passion for, creative, some, great pieces of food art. And it's just an incredible, great thing to do this. And I enjoy it. I never had to push myself and get up in the morning and say, oh, I don't want to do this today. I mean, who doesn't want to play with chocolate? It's not all that bad. So if you're passionate about what you do and you really love what you do, you're going to stick with it. You're going to develop more techniques. You're going to get better at it. You just start to enjoy what you do and you keep going.
I think I want to trade places with Jörg because I work 14 to 16 hours a day and it feels like work.
Well, develop more of that philosophy. I'm listening to a book right now, the Untethered Soul, if you're familiar with that, and it's talking just exactly about that. On those days that feel so hard for me, and MegN, I just am recently divorced, and so I'm a single parent of a 14-year-old, and my life kind of just imploded back in 2019, and I just had to find the joy in life. And I've always loved the businesses that I've been in. I've done a lot of things. It sounds like a couple of you two have as well. But I just always want to focus on what brings me joy, right? And if I can keep bringing back to that when I'm doing the 14, 15-hour days and working through Labor Day weekend like I had to, it makes it worth it, right? That it's like, okay, the hard work is worth it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But, I don't want you to misunderstand me when I say never work, because it's enjoyable. That's right. But you also have to challenge yourself and you have to push yourself to be better because, there's a lot of people out there that are incredible artists and to stay compatible and focused, you do have to push yourself and you have to self-motivate you, whatever that is that works for you. And I think you also, when you do work a lot, like I do work a lot, you have to find a balance and something that you enjoy. For me, it's playing, an instrument, it's going on the boat lobstering. And you just have to find a balance and kind of, figure this all out, how it works for you best.
Aimee, grit and tenacity. I'm guessing that you know a little something about that.
Well, a doctorate degree will make you do it.
For sure.
The wonderful thing about sugar artistry is you can continue to learn new things as you go and continue to improve upon yourself. I actually, when I was younger, I've always been an artistic person, but because I was always very studious, it was more cultivated for me to go to school for something more academia related, but I never lost that passion for artistry. The awesome thing about being able to bake or cook or to decorate cakes or cookies and what have you, it's like I can balance everything into one because it's so complex. Like it's chemistry, it's, science, it's art, it's all kinds of things that are mixed into one that you're doing, understanding how a recipe works. It's math, it's so many different things that you're encompassing into one. And not only can you enjoy it for yourself, but you can enjoy sharing it with someone else, somebody tasting your product or, teaching a child how to decorate a cookie. All of these things are different little side things that you can do within that one. So the thing I appreciate about artwork is there's so much versatility to it, kind of like her products. There's so many different things that you can do. And even if you're frustrated with, this industry can be competitive just like many other industries. But there are also very great people in the industry that are willing to share what they know, people that are certified pastry chefs or, people that actually went to school for, the things that they've learned. I've never had the opportunity to be able to go to school for pastry. But the awesome thing about being able to go to these shows is that I get to learn some of that information from somebody that did. And that's what I call growth.
And for those of you that have been in the industry for so long, thinking of Jörg specifically, right, to be a consultant and a coach and a guide and not forget those early roots of your learning. And you're classically trained and not everybody is, but you're very welcoming of, hey, whatever avenue you've chosen to get here, hooray, I celebrate you. And here's a technique or here's a skill set that you ought to open yourself up to. I would imagine as you judge, some of that feedback comes in there as well. Is the judging laid out that way too, that there's a feedback opportunity as well? Or is it just, hey, here's your score? And
no, there's a feedback opportunity. The way that the score sheets are usually written, they judge on different areas, on use of techniques and how many techniques and overall appearance and things like that. But there's also an opportunity to go and ask the judges questions about, hey, why did you judge me this way or that way? No, it's put together very well. I think it's great. And I like the fact that Aimee brought up the subject of being able to incorporate all of your different skills into baking because people don't understand all of the work and all of the different techniques and things that go into making a cake. They just want all these magical cakes to happen, but there really is a science to it. You have to be a scientist, you have to be a chef, you have to be, and I think this is where Jörg shines through with one of his classes too. He is in the building industry. So being able to construct a cake properly, you have to be an architect. You have to be all of these different things to make all of this magic happen. And we make it happen.
We have a show that we host, or they broadcast out of our studio, and it's called STEM Unplugged, right? So it's helping kids K through 12 in the science, technology, and the sciences and math and all that. And until Aimee started mentioning that, I don't think of it that way, right? I just think of baking. I got to follow a recipe and, do what I do, which not is always a good product at the end of it, right?
Well, we're going to have lots of classes if you want to take classes in March.
I'm excited to attend, and I want to introduce you to Kelly because, again, this STEM Unplugged is part of the SciTech Institute, and they have these kids who are called chief science officers at the middle schools. It started out here in just Arizona, but now it's worldwide, where these kids self-select. They have to find a sponsor at school, and then they come up with whatever interviews and activities and, tours, that sort of thing. I think, Kelly, it would be important for you to get to know Kelly and see if some of her kids would want to come and participate. Because, again, to all of your point, you have to masterfully pull in so many different aspects of learning into this.
Yes.
And obviously, it's a lost art. Jörg, you had mentioned how, as consumers, we've gone to what's easy, what's quick, right? And we are not always looking at quality or versatility and that sort of stuff. I mentioned over Labor Day, I stayed home and worked. My son happened to be in Utah with some friends, and I created meals for myself. I haven't cooked in a long time, and I kept thinking to myself how hard it was to cook and enjoy. It's really quite easy when you just slow down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
And it is a little bit of lost art. And I think that, the diversity of classes that Michelle will put on is great because it just can really unlock somebody's mind and bring them to a new level and even tease their inspiration to get started and get going. And it's very specific things that you're interested in. And then you take that class. You don't have to take all the classes. Take the classes that you're interested in. And as far as competitions, I think that, entering a competition it's not just about winning. It's to be part of it. And, it's to get really good and constructional criticism on your work and compare to the other people what they do. You can see what other people do and what level they're at. And it just maybe motivates you to keep going. So, for anybody that's around there and participating, I would totally encourage them to enter some of these competitions. It's fun. Make it fun. Don't be stressed out about it. Make it fun.
Yeah, I love it. So again, in March, give us the dates again.
March 26th and 27th of 2022.
And in Glendale.
The beautiful Glendale Civic Center. It's about 40,000
That's a big venue. Yeah, that's a big spot. And registration is open now.
It is open. The tickets are on sale. We have different levels of tickets. We have a general admission. We have child's tickets. We have a weekend pass. And then we also have a VIP ticket. The VIP ticket, I think, is really great. It includes $75 to $100 in swag in the bag. You get to pick 2 of your private demos, which are usually a paid, so you get to watch 2 demos for free. And then you also get to enter into one of the contests for free. So it covers your entry fee for a contest.
I'll be there.
All right. Awesome.
And then I see Daryl, our producer's nodding his head like, I'm coming with you. Is the little wink I'm getting over here. As we fade out at the end of our interview, again, I want to thank you all for being here. I've learned so much. I just have this vision, so I can't wait to learn more about the product. The versatility is the word I'm looking for, and the flavor, and the fact that I'm shocked because when you introduced the product at the beginning of our show, you said it's almost, think of it like the consistency of an acrylic.
It is in a powder form, and it's a product that also does not expire. So that's a big deal. You don't have to worry about throwing it out later. That's a huge deal. It's in the form of a powder. It used to be just like an acrylic paste, but it had issues. You had to refrigerate and stuff like this. So I went to a dry form. So you just add water to it. You can use it with spirits if you want to get it to dry faster, but you just add water. My team was saying you can mix it to an acrylic consistency. You can do watercolor with it.
The spray or whatever the
airbrush. Yeah. You can use it for cookie screen printing. Have you ever heard of cookie screen printing?
I'm thinking of when Megan was talking about the cakes, the printing. Is that what you're talking about? Same thing?
Screen printing. You have like a little stencil and then you put a paste across and you drag something across. So it transfers your image from the stencil. And then, palette knife, you can palette knife with it. Any art tool, sponge paint with it, you can stamp with it. How easy is stamping? And you just stamp. I even had one customer stamp on a frozen buttercream cake. Another amazing thing is
you can bake it too.
And you
can paint and bake.
I have
pie
painted
crusts.
raw pie dough, and bake it, and it holds the color through baking.
Incredible. And so we don't have to wait for the expo to get the product.
No, it's here. It's here local also. Yep.
And for our listeners, how can they find it?
Sugarprism.com. You can find all of my products on
And that's where they're sold.
That's where they're sold.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So we'll have Michelle and Forrest, but if each of you would, again, share your name, where can we find you on the World Wide Web, right? What's the best place to stay in touch with you, as well as social media, if you're that kind of person, which I already heard a couple of you mention that. But for our listeners, how do we stay in touch? Aimee, would you start for us first, please?
I am Aimee Hines. I am a cake decorator in the Baltimore, Maryland region. You can find me at www.cakedoctoraimee.com.
Excellent. Social media as well. Are you out there?
Yes. All of my profiles are Cake Dr. Aimee, Aimee.
I love it. I can't wait to go check out your work. Thank you again, Aimee, for being here. MegN, how about you?
I'm MegN Martinez from Seabeck, Washington. I run and operate A Little Wicked Cakery here local. I'm also on, it's alittlewickedcakery.com, or you can find me on social media under the same name. Yeah, that's how you can find me.
Can you spell that for us?
A Little Wicked Cakery.
Oh, Little Wicked. Okay.
Her cakes are wicked.
Well, her cakes are wicked.
She cranks out a cake almost every day. I don't know. Do you even sleep, MegN?
I think she might have froze on us, but a little wicked cake is what I heard, right?
A Little Wicked Cakery.
A Little Wicked Cakery. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got that correct. And MegN, we can see you, but you're frozen on the screen, so hopefully you're still with us for a photo afterwards. And Jörg, how about you? Where do we stay in touch with you?
I'm in Boston located, and the easiest way to get in touch with me is probably Facebook. It's under Jörg Amsler. It's Jorg Amsler, Amsler. Under the same name on Twitter, but Facebook is usually where I respond to. And that's about it. I do international consulting, architectural layout of kitchen startups, instructional work for any kind of baking, from artisan bread to pastry to chocolate. And of course, showpieces and 3D cakes and all that good stuff.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if you have a book. Have you ever written a book? You seem like someone
I've been approached to it many times. There's two reasons why I haven't done it. Number one, there's too many on the market already. And number two, and I shouldn't even say that, when I was a kid in school, I just absolutely struggled with school. I was dyslexic. I hated it. I didn't want to read books. Books are just not my best friend, and I stay away from them. And they're good, don't get me wrong. But, do we really need another pastry book out with pretty photographs of creme brulees? Maybe not.
Yes, we do. You can't have enough.
Michelle's like, yes, we do need that. It's funny. I was that learner as well. I really I still struggle to learn. I have to dig deep into tenacity and grit and just stay focused. I have to use little cards and all these different memorization techniques. And now, thank God for Audible books, because I can listen on my walks. But that's why I went into teaching, because I thought, if I struggled as a kiddo, then maybe, I can relate better to kids who have difficulty learning. And that was the first part of my career. So, Michelle,
if I ever would be interested in a book, it would be probably more about my travelings around the world related to pastry and food ingredients and stuff. I wrote a journal when I did that, and I took a lot of photographs, and I came across, crazy ingredients that you just don't think of, and then made crazy edible things out of it. So to me, that's more interesting than just a pretty coffee table book.
And I have chills from head to toe, so you've got to write that book.
Okay.
Yeah, MegN and I are in the front line, right? All four of us are in the front line. Please sign my copy. Yeah, so good.
Don't forget your friends.
Michelle, if you'll finish up for us at sugarprism.com.
Sugarprism.com. I run 8 social media pages, but on Instagram, it's the same thing, Sugarprism_Edible Acrylic Paint. On Facebook, I'm actually under my maiden name, Michelle Ingalls. That's my personal page, but I'm more interested in pushing people towards my free classes. I offer free classes on Facebook called Painting with Sugarprism. People get the product, and then I offer free classes, and we have free demos and tutorials, and it's a fun page to be on. I'm teaching a class this weekend, pumpkin painting. Yeah.
Pumpkin painting. And the theme again for the expo, it sounds so fun. Say it again.
Sugarprism Sugar Art Expo, and that is on sugarartexpo.com.
And the theme you chose, though, it's very...
Plunderous pirates and sinister sirens. I wanted it to be fun. I don't this is not boring. This is not going to be a boring expo.
There's nothing boring at all about any of you or the expo and the conversation about Sugarprism. Again, thank you so much, each of you, for being here. For our listeners, we want to thank you for being part of our segment today, and we will have this published as a podcast very soon. So we hope that you'll go re-listen to it and push it out there and share it so that we can get as many people as we can to this wondrous event. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio. We broadcast right here at Max 6 Entrepreneur Center in Tempe, Arizona, where we help businesses and connect you with the right people. Some media lean left, some lean right, and we leave business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.